before we'll continue, I want to talk about a particular important subject and something that we're going to use in the project, so I want you to understand it. It's basically the relationships between associated entities. Now, the relationship can be of 4 types, or you can say 3 types, but then you have 2 types to each type. So it's about 6 or 8, depending on how you look at it. So first of all, we have the one-to-one relationship. A one-to-one relationship, it's with a ratio of 1-to-1. Now, it could be a user, right? A user entity that has a username, a password, etc. And also another entity with user type, for example. So the user type has an extra layer of information that is correlated or associated with this user. But the relationship between them is 1-to-1, meaning user has one user type, and user type is associated to one particular user. Okay, this is the 1-to-1 relationship. We're not going to have it in this project, but what we will have is the 1-to-many. Okay, in our case, a teacher is 1 to many students. Okay, and will basically indicate that there is the maximum or big amount potential of students. Okay, but the ratio is going to be 1 to many. Every one teacher has many students. And in terms of the relationship, in this case, the teacher is 1 to many, right? And the students is many to 1 in this case, okay, depending on where we're looking at it from. So this is the 1 to many. Now you might think, hey, that's not necessarily the best way of doing it. Another way that you can design it could be many to many, right? That's right, every teacher has a lot of students, but maybe every student has a lot of teachers. I mean, a student goes to many classes, right? You might have a math teacher X and a literature teacher Y. So why wouldn't that be the case? Now, that's a great example, because now when you have many to many, you might get a student object, right? We're gaining the student object from the database, and we can access all the teachers that the student is going to their classes, let's say. And if we have, let's say, some sort of web application where a student can log in and watch all of the teachers that is going to their classes, or a teacher, which is a different user, will log in and will have the access of all his students. Okay, so a lot more functionality here. So this is also very cool. Now, the project that we're going to build is going to be incredibly simple. It's going to be a teacher user that will log in into his account. It's going to be an account only for teachers to log into, and we'll build it in React as well. So it's going to be like a teachers app. Okay, super basic one. Again, we're not making extra classes or classes that might contain teacher at a particular time with different students. It's going to be very basic, just for you to understand basic concepts of Spring, really. But we're going to have a teacher user that will log in, and then it will have access to all of the students inside. Okay, very basic. Okay, imagine like a teacher has 1 hour, and it will be able to log in into his class management application, if you will, and have all of the students there. Now you might want to remove some, add some. This is what our project is going to be about. So in our case, it's going to be one teacher to many students. Now there are 2 types of ways to basically describe and design it, giving us a lot of flexibility. Is bidirectional relationship, okay, where you can access this information from each object, from each entity. Like from the student, in this case, a student will have some sort of ID, right? Because identifier of its teacher. On the other hand, a teacher has information about all of the students. You can really run through or loop through all the students that a particular teacher have. So this is a bidirectional relationship. You can access this data from a student object and you can access it from a teacher object. The data is going to be different because remember, a student has only the ID of its teacher. A teacher, on the other hand, has the IDs or more information about all of the objects of the students that are associated with it. Okay, so this is bidirectional. You can get data from here, you can get data from here. On the other hand, you have unidirectional relationship. And it basically means that you can access, somebody owns this relationship and you can access the data only from one object, only from one entity. Let's say the teacher will contain all the students, but you won't be able to access data about the teacher owning the relationship from the students. Okay, I don't think it's relevant in this case, so we're definitely not going to use it. In a lot of cases, bidirectional relationship is, I would say, recommended, and yet maybe you will not want to do it in some cases where it's really unnecessary to get this data from another user. Okay, like let's say the example with maybe the user and the user type. Okay, maybe we don't need to get access from the user type to the user, but the user, on the other hand, could be enough for you to get the access of the type of the user.